Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am really excited today because I am going to be sharing Emma's 1 month update. I cannot believe it's already been an entire month since I had my second baby. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind. It's gone by really fast. But yeah, there's a lot of really interesting and fun stuff to catch you guys up on. So I figured I would do this in 3 parts. I'm going to start with I guess it's going to be my postpartum 1 month update and then also Emma's 1 month update. So I'm going to start with all the postpartum stuff. So things that I've been going through, how I've been healing, all of that. And then I'll transition into Emma and stuff that's been happening with her. And then at the end, I also want to cover a little bit more about what it's been like for Charlotte, my 2.5-year-old, to kind of get used to having a sibling. I wrote everything down so that I can keep my thoughts on track. We have a lot to go through, so hopefully this doesn't get too chatty, but I'm hoping this helps to shed light on, I don't know, what's normal. I don't know, and like what other people are going through. I always love seeing other moms who are going through the same thing as me so that I feel more normal and like I'm not losing my mind. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the update. So first thing I want to go through is my 1 month postpartum update. So it has been a little over 4 weeks now. I'm still bleeding just a little bit and not all the time. Like I'm bleeding every once in a while, but I think she was just a really big baby. She was 9 pounds, 1 ounce. And I think my body, my uterus and everything is still contracting and still healing and like getting some stuff out. So it's all normal. I've checked with my doctor. Everything is still fine. It's just really interesting because I only bled for a little over 2 weeks when I had my first daughter, and now it's been over 4 weeks and I'm still bleeding. I also think I'm probably not taking it as easy as I should be. When you have another kid that you have to pick up and like do things with and get on the floor and play around with and stuff like that, I don't know, I think it's a lot harder to like really take it easy. I just don't have a choice. Like I have to pick up Charlotte to put her on the potty. Like I have to pick her up to put her in her crib when she goes down for a nap, stuff like that, that I would have been really careful in terms of picking up a lot of weight when I had my first baby. And I just don't have that luxury this time around. So I think that's probably also leading to, why I'm having a little bit more bleeding this time. I did get 1 small 2nd-degree tear with Emma when I gave birth. I had to get a few stitches. I think it was only like 4 stitches or something like that, but they're gone. Everything was all healed up down there. Everything feels totally fine. Okay, this is gonna be really TMI, but the only thing that's been a little bit difficult after going through birth and all of that is that probably about like 2.5 weeks ago, I forgot to take my stool softeners. I've been taking stool softeners every single day because if you've ever had a baby, you know how scary it is to poop after you've had that baby. It's just terrifying. So I've been taking stool softeners every single day to just help make it easier for myself. But 2.5 weeks ago, I forgot for a couple of days to take my stool softeners, and then I went poop. And you guys, I got an anal fissure. So if you don't know what an anal fissure is, it basically means I ripped my butthole. So now I have to deal with that. Luckily, I think it's getting a little bit better, but it was like really painful for a while there. So yeah, that was not fun. I definitely recommend that you don't skip days on your stool softener like I did, because you don't want to get an anal fissure. It sounds terrible. It is terrible. So just learn from my example and take those stool softeners every single day. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is just kind of overall how my body is doing. So I do have a little bit of diastasis recti or diastasis recti. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, but basically that's when your ab muscles separate. It's normal. I've never met a mom who hasn't had diastasis recti to some degree after giving birth, because when your belly gets really big, your muscles have to go somewhere. So I do have it a little bit. I have only actually about 1 finger width between my abdominal muscles right now, which is a lot better than I thought it was going to be totally honest. So that just means I'm going to be doing some exercises a little bit differently when I'm cleared at my 6-week checkup to start working out again, and just being really mindful of like using my abdominal muscles the right way, and just working out the right way moving forward. So that's actually looking really good, and I'm really excited about that. Next up is weight loss. So I'll tell you straight up right now, I am not the type of person who like loses all of their pregnancy weight immediately when they give birth. I'm also not somebody who loses weight while breastfeeding. Like, that just doesn't happen for me. I tend to hang on to a lot of weight while I'm breastfeeding, and then as soon as I'm done breastfeeding, it literally just falls off. So the same thing is happening this time around. I ended up gaining about 40 pounds, I think a little bit more than, maybe like 40, it was either 40 or 45 pounds I ended up gaining throughout my whole pregnancy. Pretty immediately after I gave birth, I lost 25 pounds, like in like 3 days. And then over the course of about a week, I gained 5 pounds back. So I'm still up about 20 pounds from my pre-pregnancy weight. I'll update you guys as we continue on these updates, but probably I'm gonna stay 20 pounds overweight until I'm done nursing. That's just how my body reacts to breastfeeding. And it makes a lot of sense. Like, if you think about what it takes for your body to breastfeed, it wants to make sure that it's always going to have a supply of energy and fat to use up to make breast milk, no matter what's happening. Like, whether you're starving or whatever, your body wants to make sure it has enough fat to produce milk for your baby. So for me, that means that I just stay a little bit heavier than normal. So it's kind of a bummer, but I mean, it is what it is, and I just want to start normalizing that side of things for women, because all the time we hear about these women who are like back to their pre-pregnancy size a week after they've given birth, and that's just not realistic for probably most women. It's definitely not realistic for me. So I think having the right expectations after you give birth is really important, and for me, that means I'm gonna be up a few dress sizes for a little while. Yeah, that is where I'm at weight loss wise. Let's move into baby. So how Emma's doing. Like I said, she was a big baby. So she was 9 pounds 1 ounce when she was born. She had gained all of her birth weight back plus some at our 10-day checkup. So at that checkup, she was 9 pounds 3 ounces. She only lost like 3 ounces when we were in the hospital. Again, it's really normal for new babies to lose weight after you have them, because they've been being nourished by you, and now all of a sudden all they have is like colostrum or something like that. So a lot of times babies will lose weight. She only lost 3 ounces in the hospital, gained all of that back really quickly, and now she's far surpassed her birth weight. I took her to the doctor about, I think it was like a week ago, to check on her umbilical cord stump, which I'll talk about in a second, but they weighed her while we were there, and that was like 2 weeks to the day after her 10-day appointment, and she was already 10 pounds 9 ounces. To put this in perspective, that's the weight that my first daughter was when she was like 3 months old. Like, it is crazy how like different they are in terms of size and weight. Like, it's just nuts. But speaking of which, one of the things that's really cool about having Emma now and like being able to look back at pictures of Charlotte when she was a newborn is that outside of the weight difference, Emma weighed like almost a full 2 pounds more than Charlotte did when she was born. But outside of the weight difference, they look identical. Like, they are like twins. It is so crazy. The only difference is that Emma has like bigger chunky cheeks, and she's got like rolls and chubby thighs and stuff like that, which is really cool. So I'm so excited to see what Emma looks like when she gets a little bit older and how similar they're gonna look. All right, we are back. It is 48 hours later, I'm in a different outfit. I now have a baby strapped to me. And yeah, that's how long it took for me to get my phone or my battery recharged and get this show back on the road. So we're back. I think I left off, we were talking about how I am really excited to see how similar the girls look when Emma gets a little bit older. I just think it's going to be really cool because they are seriously like identical as newborns. So it's a pretty cool thing to see. Obviously, Emma is nursing right now, so that kind of leads me to the next thing on my list, which is breastfeeding and how that's going. So I am having a really, really wonderful time breastfeeding. Just a little bit of backstory. So with my first daughter, Charlotte, when I was in the hospital after I just had her and the lactation consultant came in to see me, she took one look at my breasts and said, "Oh, you have really flat nipples. It'll be really hard, if not impossible, for you to nurse. So here's a nipple shield. Enjoy." And that was literally like the extent of our conversation and the extent of how much she helped me. So she never told me how to wean Charlotte off of the nipple shield. She never told me that that might be a challenge. It was just like, here's this nipple shield, see you later. Now, I personally have very strong feelings about the nipple shield. So I know that they work for some people. They did not work for us at all. Really the reason is because I never had somebody tell me how to wean off of the nipple shield. Oh, I know. So anyway, with Charlotte, she got used to the nipple shield. At I think her 1 month appointment, the pediatrician said, "Hey, she's not gaining enough weight. It's probably because she's not getting enough with the nipple shield. So you need to wean her off of it." And it just never worked. I tried for a really long time to wean her off of the nipple shield and she just would never take my breast. So I ended up exclusively pumping for 6 months and giving her breast milk for about up until she was 8 months old. And it was horrible. It was a horrible experience. I hate pumping. And so with Emma, I said from the very beginning, I really want to breastfeed. Like, I'm not going to leave that hospital until somebody actually helps me if I end up needing help. And if she doesn't latch, then I am not pumping. She's going to be a formula fed baby. So like that was my whole thing. Luckily, she latched right away. She latched like within the first hour she was born. She had a really good latch. So she's a big girl. She really likes to eat, and everything's going really, really well. And I am just so thankful. I am loving this experience. It makes me really sad that I didn't get this experience with my first, but I'm just kind of like soaking it in and being really thankful for the fact that I was able to feed, or that I am able to feed both of my babies. Whether it's, breastfeeding or pumping or formula, if you can feed your babies, like you're doing really well. So I'm just really thankful that I have this opportunity this time around, and it's something that's a little bit different from my last baby. So yeah, that's where we're at with breastfeeding and with weight gain. She's big old girl. She's my little squish. The other thing is her umbilical cord. So this was an interesting thing. So with my first, her umbilical cord fell off probably in like the first 10 days. Like, it was pretty fast. Her stump fell off. So I was anticipating that same thing with Emma, but it took until about 3 days ago for hers to fall off. So she was almost a month old before it finally fell off. I was getting really nervous about it because as it was healing, it smelled really bad, which is what prompted me to call the pediatrician and take her in, because I was like, it's really stinky and it looks still very wet, and it was just like pretty gross. So I took her into the pediatrician just to make sure everything was okay. He said everything's fine. Sometimes it just takes some babies longer for their stump to fall off, but it did end up falling off just a few days ago, and it's healing really well. So that's all squared away, which is I'm really thankful about. Let's see what else I have on my list of things. Oh, so another big thing. So fingers crossed this has kind of resolved itself since then. But the first few weeks of Emma's life, I was convinced that she was colicky. She was just inconsolable all the time. Like if she wasn't eating or sleeping, she was crying and just seemed like she was in pain. Like she would like writhe around and just seemed like she had like gas or something. It also seemed like she was constipated, which is a really rare thing, I guess, with breastfed babies. Like they typically don't get constipated, but she was like not pooping very much. She would poop like twice a day for the first few weeks. So I got a little bit nervous. I started changing my diet around. I got all dairy out of my diet. But the thing that I think did it for me was I had been taking fenugreek. I had decided to start taking that like pretty shortly after my milk came in, because with my first, I was taking it to increase my milk supply and it worked really well for me. But I didn't start taking it until she was a little bit older, and I think I forgot that. And so I just like got onto like the highest dose of fenugreek possible to see if I could, you know, get a really good oversupply so I can not only breastfeed but like save some milk as well. So anyway, yeah, I got on that, and I think that just like was ravaging her insides. So I stopped taking that, and probably like a week later, she was much, much better. She still gets a little bit fussy and a little gassy after she eats, but I mean, as you can see right now, she's pretty content. So yeah, that's all better. Thank goodness. I give so many props to people who have colicky babies. It is really, really hard, you guys. Like I always, before we had our first daughter, I would always be like, why do all of these nurses have to remind parents not to shake their babies, right? Like shaken baby syndrome, like, oh, don't ever shake your baby. If you ever feel like you're gonna do it, just put your baby down in a safe place and like walk away, let them cry, all this stuff. Anytime I would hear that, I used to be like, how could anybody ever shake their baby? Like that is the most insane thing I've ever heard. But the moment that you have a baby and the very first time that you can't get them to stop crying, you realize, oh yeah, like anybody could shake their baby. Like, I mean, I don't think most people would ever shake their baby, but you can definitely recognize how people get to their breaking point. Like hearing a baby cry for hours on end literally starts making you go insane, I think. So yeah, I'm just really thankful that she is not colicky. We got things sorted out. I can still have cheese, which is really exciting, and we seem to be doing pretty well. Huh. Yeah, we're doing well. And oh, the last thing that I want to talk about with her is sleep and how she's doing with that. So with our first, we took a class from Taking Care of Babies. If you've never heard of her, she is like a sleep guru when it comes to newborns and babies. You can look her up on Instagram. It's just at Taking Care of Babies, C-A-R-A, Taking Care of Babies. But we're lucky enough that she actually lives here in Arizona, and so we took her class in person with our first baby, and it was amazing. Like our first daughter was sleeping 12 hours a night by the time she was like 6 weeks old, and it's no cry it out methods or anything like that. So it's really, really awesome. So we decided to buy her online like module this time around because she's not offering in-person classes anymore. And we've been doing all of the same techniques, but obviously our baby is different from our last baby, so things have been going a little bit differently, haven't they? She is, I mean, she's doing pretty well. Like she's typically sleeping maybe like 4-hour stretches, 4.5, 5-hour stretches at night. There have been a couple of nights where we've gotten her to go 6 or 7-hour stretches, but then it seems like the very next day she's like can't go more than 3 hours without needing to eat, like last night. So 2 nights ago she slept for 6 hours. Yeah, and then last night she woke up every 3 hours to eat. So it's just been kind of hit or miss. Our goal, like what Kara says for your goal, is that they should be sleeping hour stretches based upon their week of age. So like your goal should be 5-hour stretches at 5 weeks, 6-hour stretches at 6 weeks, et cetera, et cetera. So like we've got a long ways to go before she's 12 weeks old, and you know, our goal is to have her sleeping 12 hours through the night. But so far we're doing okay, and I'm really tired. But you know, what are you gonna expect with a brand new baby and a toddler at home? That leads me to the last thing that I wanted to touch on. So man, you guys, going from 1 kid to 2 kids is no joke. It has been probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do as an adult, is just like figure out what the heck I'm doing with a toddler who really wants and needs my attention 100% of the time, and a newborn who clearly needs my attention 100% of the time, at least when she's awake. So it's definitely been challenging. Charlotte, for the first couple of weeks, was actually like pretty good. Like we were like, oh, maybe we're not gonna go through all of these crazy regressions that we hear toddlers go through when they get a new sibling. Everything seemed fine. My husband was also on paternity leave at that point, so I had extra hands to help me, but he only got 3 weeks of paternity leave. So it seems like right at that 3-week mark when he went back to work, Charlotte started acting out. So she's been hitting a lot, throwing things, throwing crazy tantrums, just like really not being herself. She's normally such a sweet, like spunky girl, and she just is not herself. And it's been really, really hard. I have been to the point of tears more than I'd like to say over the last few weeks. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like we're all still trying to navigate what it's like to have to take care of 2 of them. The things that have been working for us, we've set really clear boundaries with what gets a timeout and what gets like, let's sit down and talk and like figure out, you know, why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. So most of the time, like if she's having a tantrum or something like that, that's when we say, okay, let's all sit down, let's calm down, talk to me, use your words, tell me what you're feeling, tell me why you're upset. And I just try to like validate her as much that way as I possibly can. I'll usually, if I have Emma, I'll usually put her down like in her swing or something like that, and I'll just focus all my attention on Charlotte while we're talking through her feelings. If that doesn't work, like if she really can't calm down, then I usually just let her go through her tantrum, as horrible as it is. And then when she's finally finished with her tantrum, she's usually exhausted, and then she just wants to kind of like cuddle on the couch or something like that. So that's typically what we do. We do use timeouts. They work really well for Charlotte. The biggest things, or the only things really that we're using timeouts for, are hitting and throwing things. Because obviously both of those things can cause harm to someone else. So those are like automatic. You can't hit, you can't throw things, you're gonna get a timeout. We give her a 2-minute timeout, just number of minutes for how old she is. And then when she's finished with the timeout, then I get down on her level. So I get down on the ground, I look her in the eyes and I say, this is why you got this timeout. That's not okay. You can't hit people, or you can't throw things. You'll hurt someone. And then I give her a hug and I say, I love you. And then we're on with the rest of the day. So that seems to be working okay. I don't think we've mastered it yet. Like, I don't think we've truly figured out like how to handle what she's going through. It's been really, really, really hard. And it's also hard as a parent because I love her so much, and I knew that this was going to happen going into it, but it's just so, it's heartbreaking to see her like hurting so much because she's not getting all of our attention anymore. I don't know, that's been a really rough transition for us. I'll keep you posted on how things go with Charlotte and what ends up working best for us, but I honestly don't think we've really cracked the code yet, so TBD on that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for our one month update, huh? She's just the sweetest little thing. Now that she's not crying all the time, she's just like such a great little baby, huh? Well, say hello. All right, guys, well, that is it for our update for 1 month postpartum and my little 1-month-old baby girl, Emma. We will see you guys in the next video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, I'd love to have you stick around. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when all of my videos are posted. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights.